Hey guys, welcome back to the Beer Temple. Happy New Year. Hope you guys all had a wonderful New Year's Eve. But we're here in 2012 for our first show. That's kind of exciting. I had a wonderful holiday. I actually had some really great beers. Now I'm thinking about New Year's Eve. I had the Lenny's Rye IPA from Hebrew, from Schmaltz Brewing, which was good. I'm not always a fan, to be 100% honest, of all the Schmaltz stuff, but that was very, very good. So if you guys see the Lenny's Rye IPA, that is also good. I had a Alpha Claus, obviously I had it on tap, and I had a 2010 Bigfoot from Sierra Nevada, which was really nice. The year of age was great on it. And had some really nice wine, some champagne, of course, and had a great time. And today, I just brewed my first batch of home brew ever. Kind of dove right in and went off for the all-grain setup, which is pretty much replicating, you know, what they do in a brewery, but on a much smaller scale, and probably not as good. Brewed an ESB, and just, that's a English style, a bitter. And I was thinking right before I started this that it would be kind of cool if I did a show on bitters and then at the end, you know, as an add-on, tasted my homebrew and see how it stacks up to it. I can already tell you that, you know, it will come in last place. If it doesn't, if it comes in first place, my first batch of homebrew, then I'm quitting my job and becoming a professional brewer. But let's move on to what we have here. I'd say probably super fan of the show is probably fair. Omar sent us these two beers along with the Shorts beers that we did a while back. He also sent us a couple other beers. He sent two beers from Keweenaw Brewing up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which I looked at it on the map. It's from Houghton, Michigan. I'd never heard of it. They're way up there, practically in Canada, right off of the shores of Lake Superior. Tiny little brew pub. Not a brew pub, actually. They don't have a pub. It's just a brewery. They brew 5,000 barrels a year, which is absolutely nothing. To give some sort of comparison, New Belgium Brewery probably does 500,000 barrels, 600,000 barrels a year, something like that, for out of New Belgium. So, you know, and even a really big craft brewery is going to be doing 100,000, or you know, a somewhat sizable craft brewery is going to be doing like 100,000, something like that. So 5,000 is tiny. They just distribute to Michigan and Wisconsin, since the upper peninsula of Michigan is actually, you know, attached to Wisconsin, not attached to Michigan. I always thought that was very weird. But it's two beers here, and thank you so much, Omar. Omar asked me when I was going to be putting these up, so here you go. Happy New Year to you, Omar. And I have two beers, the Widowmaker Black Ale and the Old Orr Dock Scottish Ale. So, just gonna dive into these. Never had anything that I know of from Keweenaw. I might have once, but I can't remember. I'm not the best at keeping tabs on my beers. All right, so this is a black ale, as it says, but it's not. Sometimes people call black IPAs, which I just did it a couple shows ago, they call them black ales or American black ale. Not the case here. It says it right on the can that this is not a hoppy beer, and in fact, that is a theme, it seems, with this brewery. They don't do a lot of hoppy stuff. In fact, they make sure to emphasize the fact that there aren't a lot of hops in their beer, which is definitely bucking the trend of some of these new wave craft breweries that are just going for it and just having bigger, more hops. So that's kind of cool, you know, to each their own. I think it's neat. Really nice looking, really dark brown. Looks black, you know, but when you hold it up to the light, you can see that it is in fact brown. Nice looking beer, good head to it. Pretty light tasting beer, or smelling beer. I'm getting a little bit of malt, but not really any roast. Maybe a hint of a little bit of like a coffee edge to it. Not really much hops either. Yeah, just a little chocolate, a little roast. Wow, interesting. So light-bodied beer. What was that? I just half poured it out and then poured the rest into my mouth. I don't want this big a sip. I'll just pour it into the dump bucket and then drink the rest. Whatever. Someone asked me the other day, they saw a show and asked if I had drunk beforehand because we were acting so weird. I thought that was kind of funny. No, have not before today, this show either, but yeah, sometimes just stuff happens. So this beer, like I said, really light bodied, yet there is that a little bit of like a roast, but it doesn't have that a bitter edge to it. Even sometimes roasty beers can get a bitterness from the roasting of from the malt, not from the hops. And this doesn't have that either. It's just got a really, really light chocolate flavor. And now after pouring some out, I'm gonna pour back some more in so I can get another flavor. I'm just trying to pick some stuff out. Highly carbonated. Yeah, just a little bit of like a chocolate note on the end. This is just kind of a drinking beer, a beer that you could have a bunch of. I don't think they're going for anything extreme. The most extreme thing about this beer is the color. It really does not indicate much of what you're getting in it. Decent beer, you know, something that I don't know if I would go for this beer again, but you know, like I said in the Yingling show, I'd say it's kind of like one of those beers. If you're looking for something easy drinking, you're not going to want to sit there like I do with your nose and your beer all night long and just want to drink one. It's fine. I give the beer, I'm going to go 86 with the beer. Decent beer. So next we have the Scottish Ale. Now Scottish Ale is different from Scotch Ale, which we did a show on Scotch Ales, wee heavies. This is the little brother of the Scotch Ale. They're called Scottish Ales, and they have a lot of the same characteristics of a Scotch Ale, but just not as much. There's, again, not going to be a lot of hops in these beers. That is very typical of Scottish styles, and the malt is going to play the main role here. At their best, I think they've got a really wonderful, clean, malty flavor to them. Another thing about Scottish beers is they're often very clean. You get a nice malt, not quite as much of a lager, but you're getting into that territory. It doesn't have a lot of those fruity esters that an English style may have. So let's see. Much lighter. I mean, this beer is almost like a tan or a ruby tan, I guess you could say. I'm getting a little bit of hops on this one. Some earthy hops and a good malt backing, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of toast in there as well. Yeah, nice. Fuller in the mouth, a little softer feeling, a little bit of residual sweetness in there, which I like. Again, no bitterness at all, what to speak of. Not as highly carbonated either. I like this one a little bit more. It's not quite as clean as I would like it to be. There is a little bit of like a fruitiness to it, which is fine. Fairly light-bodied, even though it had a little bit more body than the Black Ale. Again, I think this is, I'm starting to see a theme here. These guys are looking to just make quality beers that you can pick up a six-pack of and go have some pizza, watch the game, and enjoy it. It's good beer, well made, but they're not really striving for too much. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think that there's a place for these. So kudos to Keweenaw. I'm going to go a little bit higher with this guy. I'm going to go 87. But that is decent, and I thank Omar for giving me these two beers. Just trying to look if they have any sort of information on the alcohol, but I wouldn't think they would be much above 5%. Two decent beers. There you go. Thanks so much, guys. Keep up all your comments on Facebook and on the site, craftbeertemple.com. Also, thank you so much for viewing us on iTunes and leaving those ratings and reviews. I always appreciate that. Was just looking there today. That's about it, guys. Should be back in a couple days with our next episode, but until then, I've got some beer to drink, and hopefully you do too.